Yeah, welcome. I want to welcome all of you to the info session for our Supply Chain AI West Accelerator program. Just before we get started, I just want to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 6 territory and a traditional meeting ground and home for many Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, and Sioux peoples, and the home of the Métis. We acknowledge our treaty obligations and are committed to living in accordance with collaboration and friendship. All right, so today, as we go through the Supply Chain AI West program, we're going to be doing a quick intro at the start here, go through a program overview, kind of what the program entails and what it looks like, some advice on ensuring that you're able to have the best application possible when you submit your application, as well as what the next steps are after that. And there's definitely time at the end for questions. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to throw them in the chat, and I'll try and keep an eye on that and answer them as they come up. And then at the end, you can put in your questions in the chat, or you'll be able to unmute yourself at the end and ask them that way. All right, so jumping into introductions, my name is Adam. I'm the product owner of our startup stream at Amy. My email's there. If you don't already have it, you can feel free to email me any questions that you have or anything like that. And I'm the program lead for our Scale AI Supply Chain AI West program. But we do have a whole team of people at Amy who are working on the Supply Chain AI West program. So James, who's here today, is machine learning scientist on our startups team, and he's the program machine learning scientist for the Supply Chain AI West program. So he's the one who runs all of the coaching sessions with the teams, with the different companies. He's the main person kind of helping out, coaching and helping you push forward when you're part of the program. And then we have a lot of people from our training team. So you have Stephanie, Heather, Omid, and Mohammed, who are all helping out in different capacities, whether that's through our AI opportunity mapping workshop, our machine learning foundations course program or workshops, or our Coursera course as well. And then we have Stephanie and Cam, so our VP product and our CEO, who are leading the investor and demo prep part of the program. So a really robust team, and we're all very excited to see all of you and to hopefully be working with some of you as part of the Supply Chain AI West team. The only person here today from this team is myself and James. So if you have questions for either of us, feel free to throw them in the chat. It would also be really great to hear where all of you are from. So feel free in the chat to let us know who you are, what company or organization you're with, or maybe what city you're from. It'd be great to kind of hear and see where all of you are from as well as we go through this. All right, so diving right into the program overview. Supply Chain AI West is our first accelerator program, and it's really focused in on supporting startups who are directly impacting the supply chain through their use of AI and machine learning. It's an 8-month program, and it's really broken down into a sprint format. So we have 7 sprints, so it's about 4 weeks per sprint. And each sprint has a focus and is really focused on helping you push forward your model, your program, your proof of concept as you're working through the program. And really, as everything we do at Amy, it's about providing hands-on support and coaching to help you build and level up your team's machine learning capacity. So we don't actually build the products for you. We don't, we're not building up algorithms or things like that for you. What we do is we want to support your team in order to help you so that you can build it yourselves. Your team can build it yourselves, and that you're able to, not just work on this one project or the first thing, to build that capacity so you can continually build out new programs and models as you move forward. All right, so we got in the chat, we got Better Fit from Edmonton. Awesome. From Blackfoot, Alberta. Cool. And Wayfinders Business Cooperative. Awesome. Well, yeah, great to see all of you here. And I appreciate you all taking the time to be with us here today. All right. So Now we kind of have the general idea what the program looks like, but program outcomes, like why would you want to participate in the program? Upon graduation, companies will have the skills required to develop their first proof of concept machine learning model that begins to address specific business problem and have a strategic plan for further AI adoption. So really what we're trying to do is help you start adopting machine learning and AI into your products and into your company. And really help coach you along that journey as well. So that's a big part of what James is going to be able to do, is help you as you're building out that proof of concept. And it's what all of our training and workshops at the start are really focused in on as well. And the interesting thing, so we're recruiting right now for our second cohort, but we actually have a cohort running right now. And when you're in the program, if how many proof of concepts you're able to build out or how far along you're able to go is going to depend on a lot of different factors, but we're here to support you throughout that process. So if you take a big project and you want to build that out and it takes you the whole 8 months, that's awesome. We will help you with that. If you have some low-hanging fruit and some things that you have a lot of data on and you can pull together relatively quickly, we can help you build out multiple proof of concepts throughout the program as well. So it's really about helping you in how much capacity does your team have, how much experience does your team have, how complex is the problem that you're trying to solve. That will really impact how much or how many different proofs of concepts we're able to support you with, but we definitely want to make sure that you get one built out over the 8-month period. All right, and then so the program is broken up into a lot of different activities. And so we have things like training, which is really focused on upskilling your CTO or your technical team. And this is Amy-led programming with opportunities to engage your team members in non-technical activities that align with the AI strategy as well. So we have some training for both technical and non-technical team members. Coaching, so one-on-one sessions with your technical team to discuss progress, obstacles, brainstorming, and helping work forward on those next steps. And just an important thing to note here is that coaching at Amy is really set up on an accountability model, meaning that if you have a coaching session and you have some next steps that you and James come up with for you, and then at the next coaching session, you need to be able to show that you've been working towards achieving those next steps and pushing your product forward or your project forward in order to keep getting the coaching. It's really based on that accountability model. And then peer-to-peer networking. So we hear time and time again how important it is to be able to meet with and bounce ideas off of peers. So we really want to facilitate that as part of our program as well. So you can meet with other people in the program, bounce ideas off of each other, learn from each other. And then there's office hours. So these are 30 or 60-minute slots where you'll be able to work with different Amy team members depending on what problem, obstacle, or challenge that you're facing. This could be additional coaching time with someone like James, or we might be able to bring in a different expert to help you with a very specific problem that you're working through right now. And then, like I mentioned, at the end, we have our investor prep and demo day, where you'll be able to get feedback and insights on how to showcase your AI progress to investors and celebrate your success and make connections at our demo day. And in preparation for this opportunity, all startups will receive investor relations mentorship with that AI lens. So how do you actually talk about not just your company and your product to investors, but how do you talk about your AI and your machine learning to investors as well? Oh, I forgot to mention at the start, Bonnie is also here from our Amy team, and she's on our investments and partnerships team. So if you have more broader Amy questions, Bonnie will be a great person to answer some of those as well. Sorry for not mentioning you at the start there, Bonnie. All right, so now kind of talking about the 7 different sprints that make up the program. The first sprint will be starting in September 2021, so this upcoming September. And the first sprint is really focused in on training. So this is where your team will be able to go through our machine learning foundations 1 and 2 workshops, do an AI opportunity mapping workshop, and start in the Coursera course as well. And I'm going to go into a little more detail on each one of these pieces. All right, so for machine learning foundations, this is our foundational workshop, and it's broken out into two pieces. So foundation one is really about building that foundational knowledge about AI and machine learning, walking through real world examples of the applications of AI and ML, gaining contextual information to help inform your view. And it's important to note that for both foundations one and two, if you were accepted into the program, anybody at your organization is able to take this course, whether they're technical or non-technical. And really what these courses do is build that cross-team nomenclature and understanding so that everybody on your team has a similar understanding about what machine learning is, what the different types of machine learning are, and how what different types of examples of it being used and how it could actually be used in your business. And then foundations two is continually building on that foundational knowledge that you learned in foundations one, as well as really starting to get into some of the tools and techniques that you can use to help plan, execute, and evaluate your machine learning projects. Each one of these workshops is approximately 6 hours of blended delivery. So part virtual presentation like this, so live virtual presentation, and then part of it is at your own pace, asynchronous work, so you'll be able to watch videos and do some little quizzes on your own time. And then after machine learning foundations, we have our AI opportunity mapping workshop. And so this workshop is 3 half-day sessions. And really how this is broken out is you work with our education team and our scientists in order to help identify different areas where machine learning could be impacting your business. So we'll brainstorm a lot of different ideas on ways that it could impact you. Then we evaluate those and rank them or score them. And then we're able to narrow down that list and start building out some plans on how you could actually move forward with those and what building out a proof of concept model for those would look like. So this is a great starting point in that process of getting you forward to knowing which option you want to be moving forward with. Because once you go through machine learning foundations, you'll realize there's a lot of different ways that machine learning can impact a business. And so being able to brainstorm all those and then narrow them down and evaluate them so that you can have a smaller list to start looking at moving forward it's really important. And then our Coursera workshop or course, machine learning algorithms in the real world. This is really focused in on your technical team. So where foundations was for kind of anybody on your team, the opportunity mapping session is for more on the technical side, but you definitely want to have decision makers in the room, like your founders or your CEO, like those type of individuals along with technical team members in the opportunity mapping session. This Coursera workshop is really for those technical team members to help level up their skills. And so, for example, like it would be assumed that everybody going into this is already knows how to code in Python and is comfortable with linear algebra. So it's a little bit higher level workshop. And it's about 3 hours per week of on your own time work with weekly opportunities to have questions with Mohammed, who's the TA for the program. So there's opportunities to meet with him every week if you have questions or need advice on going through the program. Like I mentioned earlier, if there's any questions throughout, feel free to throw them in the chat and I'm keeping an eye on that as well. There we go. All right, so that was sprint one, really focusing on training and getting into the point where you have an idea of some options on where you can be moving forward. Sprint two is really going to be focusing in on getting that, figuring out which one you want to start working on, and then starting that process of working on building out that proof of concept model. So here you'll be continuing your Coursera course and starting with the first coaching session with James. So that's, like I mentioned, it's a one-on-one coaching session where you're able to kind of talk through what you're thinking with James. He'll provide advice and start helping you start the process of building out that proof of concept model. So that's really what sprint number 2 is about. Sprint 3 in November, approximately November of this year. Again, continuing Coursera. We have our second coaching session here because those are monthly coaching sessions. You have starting the peer-to-peer networking opportunities. You can bounce ideas and meet other people in the program, as well as starting those office hours based on the needs of the individuals in the cohort What are some of the challenges? Can we bring in people to help them overcome those challenges or provide advice on how to do that? Sprints 4 to 6 are all going to look the same. So running from December to March. Again, these are monthly coaching sessions, peer-to-peer networking opportunities, and continued office hours. A lot of the time in sprints 4 to 6 is your team is working on building out the proof of concept model or models, and you're coming back to us for advice and coaching throughout that process to help you move it along. But it's a lot of your team working on the project themselves. And then sprint number 7, so in around April of next year, that should be 2022, not 2021. So yeah, next year, this will be our final coaching sessions, our final peer-to-peer networking, and our final office hours. But importantly, this does include our investor prep coaching sessions and our demo day, wrapping up the program at the end of the 8 months. All right. Is there any questions at this point before I move on to ensuring you have the best application? Feel free, if you have it in chat, or to unmute yourself, that works too. All right. Not hearing any questions, I'm going to move on. Yeah. So how do you ensure, you know what the program is, you want to join the program? Fantastic. How can we make sure you have the best application for it? This is the application process. So after this meeting or after this call, if you are like, yeah, this is what I need to be a part of this, you'd book a 30-minute meeting, discovery call with our cross-functional team. And really, this is to help us dig into what your business is, what you're doing, and most importantly, how you are impacting the supply chain using AI or machine learning, or how you plan on impacting the supply chain using AI and machine learning. After that meeting, if we think you'd be a good fit for the program, we'll send you the application form. You fill that in, send it back to us. We review the application form, provide any feedback or advice on it if there's any necessary. And then once it's good to go, we submit it to Scale AI. So Scale AI is the AI supercluster. So it's a federally funded organization. And they're the ones who are funding this program for us. And that means that they have final review and approval of everybody who enters the program. So once we are happy with the application, we put it forward to Scale AI. They do a final review and approval. If they approve you, then they'll let us know, and we would put together your contract and send you that contract for you to participate in the program. All right. And when we're getting to the point now where you're submitting your application, you're building it out. In that application, the 2 things that are the most important to highlight there is how you are directly impacting the supply chain and how you are using AI or machine learning as a core capability to impact the supply chain. Those are the things that Scale AI is really looking for above everything else. If you don't have these, it doesn't matter, and nothing else matters in the application if you're not able to clearly demonstrate these 2 pieces. So this is something that we want to make sure everybody who's putting an application is really focused in on. And when I talk about the supply chain, I guess that can be kind of a nebulous term. Really, it's the supply chain on how do you get anything, whatever it is, from the production to the end user or consumer. And so that's the supply chain that we're talking about. And that could be supply chain for anything. It could be supply chain for bananas, for oil, for tutoring services, for gravel. It doesn't matter. It's how you are impacting that chain and improving the process along that chain from production to end user. And so Scale AI has it broken into 4 main pieces. So planning, sourcing, logistics, production, and then sales and after sales. And you can see on the right-hand side there, the different kind of areas within each of those that they're looking at. So like forecasting, warehousing, automation, contractor, supplier management, transportation, network optimization, pricing, quality control. There's a lot of different ways that they're looking at how a company impacts the supply chain. And it might be that you impact one of these pieces. It might be that you're actually impacting multiple of these pieces. So again, just being explicitly clear in your application, which of these you're impacting and how you are using AI or ML to do that, or how you plan on using AI or ML to do that. Because let's be honest, you might be doing this in one way, but you're looking, by entering the program, you're looking at building a new AI or ML model to help impact the supply chain. So you might be doing it in some way, but you might want to be building out something new as well. All right, and next steps. So like I mentioned before, if at this point you think you'd be a good fit for the program, first thing you can do is book a discovery call with us here. You can use the QR code there. I'm going to drop the link in the chat just in case the QR code's not working for you. Feel free to book that call with us there. That call is with Bonnie and myself. And so we'll be able to sit down with you, get to know your company a little bit more. Like I said, after that, if we think you could be a good fit, we'll send you the application form. You fill in that application form and send that in. That's going to be the biggest next steps. And the application deadline is July 4th. So that's the Sunday of the long weekend. Monday morning is when we're going to be reviewing all the applications and sending them over to Scale